So we were going through this place and this park, and we hadn't entered yet, and the road goes right next to one of these big 15 feet fences that have like toothpicks for fence posts, and they're just like really thin wires. So just like a suggestion, not really going to stop anything. And we see this massive male elephant, like huge African elephant, and he's probably standing maybe 50 yards from this fence, and it's just standing there like a giant statue. And we get out and we look at it, and it's the most surreal thing ever because you're in Africa looking at an African elephant, and you're just like, whoa, this is crazy. So we get up to the fence, and it's just standing there doing nothing. And we're like, oh, this is kind of boring. And we're like dancing, ha ha ha. And then all of a sudden it wiggles its ears. And then it literally, starts to move a tiny bit. And by the time it moved a tiny bit, it started running towards us.
Oh, yeah.
And now we're probably 10 feet from the car. And before we could even get in the car, it was already at the fence with his ears going like this. And it's like a skyscraper above us.
Yeah, I don't even know if a car would be a good place to go.
Oh, no. If it was mad, it would just pummel that car. And if that fence, it would take the fence down like nothing. So we're just like, oh, we probably should have died, but we're not dead. Right? So here we are. Later on, we meet with some other guys, and we're like, "This craziest thing ever happened to us. This huge elephant chased us. Your heart's beating out of your chest because you think you're dead. Because there's no way you can outrun that thing."
Did the elephant make any noise when it would charge? Like, or whatever?
No.
I don't know how the elephant sounds.
No, it doesn't. It didn't actually.
Like that, man.
It didn't really make a noise. It kind of just, kind of like a heavy breathing, maybe.
Yeah.
But it didn't do the thing. Okay, so we're telling them all about this thing, and then we're saying, "Oh, this is crazy." And then we go drive across town to this other city called Port Alfred. It's like a smaller fishing town. And on the way to this town, there's a bunch of other game reserves on left and right of the freeway. It's like going through the woods, kind of. And on both sides, there's these big fences. So as we're driving, there's 3 cars in a row, and we're winding through these like crazy turns and, just looking at stuff as we go. And you would see people carrying things on their head with a baby on their back 40 miles from anything in any direction. And they're like, how are these people not dead? It's just like, do we give them a ride? Then we're like, they must do this all the time. It's kind of a weird thing. But anyway, we see these huge tortoises in the road, like giant turtles. And they're like, look at those. Those are amazing. Because you never see that stuff. And so one car pulls off to the side of the road. And the side of the road is like this kind of muddy dirt. And he's like sliding. And then the other car follows because we're all in a group, and they start sliding, and the third car starts sliding, and we all just barely miss each other, like crashing almost. And we're like, oh, freak, that was crazy. Good thing we didn't hit each other. And then we hear up the hill, because when we stop, we're looking at these cool turtles. And as we stop for the turtles, we look up the hill, and we can hear like a little bit of ruffling and some smoke in the air. It's up kind of like a berm.
Mm-hmm.
On this berm, there's some giant cactuses. Okay. So we look at the turtles, we climb up this little miniature cliff, and we get to the very top, and then it's like more of that really scary looking enclosure fencing. It's like 15 feet tall, toothpick stuff. And then we see some elephants in the distance, and there's a baby elephant that's kind of walking around the tree. And this baby elephant is tiny. Yeah, well, he's probably like 50 yards, just like the last time. Oh. So the little baby is like with this little horn.
Yeah.
This kind of cool looking. And then out of nowhere behind the tree, boom, 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 the mom comes and runs all the way up to us, and just like probably more terrifying than the big one that happened to us, and comes up to the fence, smoke everywhere. And this thing did not look like it was going to stop. In any case, we come running down the hill so fast down the cliff that they like hit. Somebody like totally runs into the cactus.
You gotta
like
change your shorts.
Yeah, and so we find ourselves at the bottom of this hill. Some of them are pulling these huge thorns out of their skin, kind of bleeding, And we're like, oh, that was so scary. And then I was like, man, 2 elephants in one day.
Wow.
So that was my great adventure.
That is
super
frightening.
All right, Orson, try to follow that up.
I mean, I have so many stories. I don't know stories, right? I have so many experiences. Okay, I'll tell you about the experience I wouldn't say it's my craziest, but I would say it's one of the crazier things that has happened to me. I served a ecclesiastical mission, right? And I served over in England, and there was a point where we were walking to one of our appointments,